Some years ago, a Western company came and proposed to mine the uranium. They came here, said they want to mine the uranium. I asked them, mine it and take it where? They said, export it. That was their answer. I asked them, export it for what purposes? They told me, you want to take the uranium, but have you had a rumor that there are some human beings here? It's not confirmed that they are there, but could it be a rumor that there are some human beings here? Why don't you propose to build that capacity here for the benefit of these human beings who live in Uganda? And maybe we can put aside some quantity of uranium. I've addressed my issue. I can also share with you so that you also go and solve yours. But to tell me that you solve my problems and forget yours, I cannot accept that. They never came back. They never came back. So the uranium of Uganda is sleeping in the ground until we are ready to use it. We have now agreed with the Russians and the Koreans to build 2 nuclear power stations for electricity of 15,600 megawatts total. Imagine, just 2 stations will produce 15,000 megawatts. One, 7,200 megawatts, the other one, 8,400 megawatts. Our biggest dam on the Nile is the Karuma with 640 megawatts. The hydro. The biggest opposition of our plan of building an integrated national economy has been mainly internal, from some elements of the political and bureaucratic classes who perform the role of comprador bourgeoisie, agents of foreign interests Mao Zedong talked about in China. Unlike the national bourgeoisie, who build our economy, the comprador bourgeoisie, raw material exporters, importers of foreign products that can be made here, commission agents, bleed our economy. The national bourgeoisie, who are manufacturers, hotel owners, tourism operators, professional service providers such as doctors who treat people here instead of patients going out for treatment, internal distributors of our products such as food, build our economy. There are businesses which build our economy, which infuse blood into our economy. There are those businesses which drain blood from our system for the benefit of the outsiders. And these are the ones Mao Zedong called the comprador. Comprador is a French word meaning agent, agent of. Therefore, we, the raw materials producers, need to conduct internal struggles in our respective countries to add value to these raw materials, including coffee, so that we earn more from our sweat and create more jobs for our youth instead of dying in the Mediterranean going to Europe. We also need to sensitize our partners in the countries that have been buying our raw materials at same slave prices, that their economics is defective. What will the USA or Europe or Asia lose if Africa sells added value coffee to them instead of the raw materials or the raw material form and earn more money? What if the value addition is done to other raw materials like copper, gold, iron ore, lithium, etc.? Money to Africa will mean higher purchasing power for Africa. The Africans who now lack electricity will be able to afford to pay for electricity. Where will the turbines come from, the ones for generating the electricity? Will they not come from Europe, USA, Russia, China, or from other partners? So what we are proposing by adding value to our raw materials will mean putting more purchasing power in the hands of the Africans. But there is a page I jumped in my speech. Allow me not to leave it out. Now, because of this hemorrhage from Africa, because of these raw materials, that's why the economy of Africa is stunted. African economy is stunted. I had jumped this, very sorry, very sorry. That's why the economy of Africa is stunted. Somebody from stunted growth is somebody who can't grow. The GDP of the whole massive African continent, with a population now of about 1.5 billion people, is US dollars 2.7 trillion. What are the GDP sizes of other much smaller individual countries? Here below are some examples. USA, 25.5 trillion. Africa, 2.7 trillion. USA, 25 trillion. China, 17.9 trillion, almost 18 trillion. Japan, $4.2 trillion. Germany, $4 trillion. India, $3.38 trillion. Even little South Korea has a GDP of US dollars 1.7 trillion, nearing the size of the African GDP. It must be pointed out that even this US dollars 2.7 trillion is a recent development, because the African economies are said to be growing at a fast rate compared to others in the world. Otherwise, Africa's GDP was only 500 billion some few years ago. However, much of that growth may be quantitative, not qualitative, producing more and more raw materials. Sorry, I had jumped that page in the speech. Therefore, as I conclude, I was beginning to ask the question, if Africa gets more money from value-added products of its raw materials, will it not be better for the whole world? Because if you hear the per capita consumption of electricity in Uganda is 300. In the USA, it is 12,000. Why are the Ugandans not using electricity? Because, first of all, in the past it was not there. But even when it's there, they may not be able to afford it. But if they get income, because they are getting more money from their coffee, getting more money from their iron ore, getting more money from their copper, they will be able to buy electricity. And we shall be able to generate more electricity. Where will the turbines for generating that electricity be coming from? Uganda is not making turbines yet. We shall have to buy them from those people. So therefore, that's why I was asking, the